Reactive attitudes is a term coined by a philosopher, P.F. Strawson, to refer to all of those sentiments and emotions and reactions that we have to other people when they do something morally wrong or morally praiseworthy. So I act with, if you hit me, I act with some form of resentment and blame. And what he was arguing was, it was an argument against the view that we have no free will and therefore we can't hold each other morally responsible. So this was the concern, a concern that many philosophers have had. What if we find out that human beings themselves, robots nothing to do yet, human beings don't have actual freedom over any of their actions. We are all determined from the day we're born, from the Big Bang. How can we blame each other? And Strawson said, well look, as human beings we respond with these attitudes toward other people. These are a natural part of our psychology, and they serve, as you say, to, when we express them, when we express resentment at somebody who's done something wrong to us, it serves to signal, to regulate other people's behavior. It communicates some condemnation. And he says, whether or not true freedom exists, this is just the way human beings interact with each other. That is, if it's a rule and it's determined, that's part of it. We act with these attitudes. And so robots are a really nice example of, well, can we do that with robots? Because if we're built this way, why can't we just say, if we're worried about robots being held morally responsible when they're programmed, one might say, this worry has been with us already. We've always been worried that human beings are nothing but robots in some sense. Now, I think that this gets at the heart of the psychological problem, because we respond very easily with our moral attitudes toward agents, to humans who act in a certain way. And we have to suspend them, in the terminology of Strawson, when we know that somebody wasn't really an agent. So in cases of extreme mental illness, if you were schizophrenic and you did something, I might start to feel blame toward you, but then I would say, Andres couldn't help it. And so, so we can sometimes suspend them. The question is, can we, and does it even make sense to treat robots in the same way? So you can, as a psychologist, I'd say, if you had a robot that was sufficiently human-like, and I think I've made this argument before, if a robot acted like a human, had the emotional expressions like a human, came up to you and said, you're a jerk, and slapped you in the face, you would respond with anger and resentment and moral blame. Now, would you correct for this when you remembered that it was a robot? Maybe not, but I think that what you would have to do to not correct for it is believe that your reactions would influence the robot's future behavior.
Yeah.
And so I think this is one of the tasks that we don't talk about enough, but that roboticists will have to think of, which is, how do I make robots, when I say social robots, part of that social must mean not just that they can pretend to be a human, but rather they can also learn in the same way that humans and respond with the right reaction, so that when we say, shame on you, robot, the robot will alter its behavior accordingly. And I think that is the way to go if we really want social robots. Robots that will take advantage of our natural psychology, our natural reactions, and will use that as input into changing its behavior. So we might not be there for the Roomba, but you can imagine something a little bit more complicated than the Roomba that makes a mistake. And you say, damn it, don't do that again. If the robot could take your emotion and say, this must be very important, and adjust its behavior accordingly, and maybe not adjust it that much if you're just joking with it and say, why did you do that? If it could take our psychology into account and respond accordingly, I think then it would truly be hacking the human mind into interacting with robots.